Hello, NeBBL. We are going to do a series of intro videos here about how we run our league. So I'm going to split this up into a playlist. We're just going to do one topic per video to keep it nice and short. This video is just your intro to the series, and we're going to discuss in this video about the rules that we use in the NeBBL and what rule books you might need or need to read to understand what is going on in the league based on the mechanics of the game. So in Blood Bowl, there are basically two sets of rules that we're applying here. You have your in-game mechanics, which is how you play the game of Blood Bowl, and then you have your league mechanics, which is how we level up our teams, our players, track all those kind of things. So in this video, we're going to talk about the mechanics of the game and the basic league rules and where you find them. So starting with the source content, we are playing Blood Bowl 2016, which is the Games Workshop version that was published with the core box in 2016 when Blood Bowl was re-released. The core box here comes with this rule book here, which is just the mechanics of the game. So this book just has the info about how you play Blood Bowl. It doesn't have any of the league stuff or all of the comprehensive list of skills, etc. How do you level up your teams or manage a league? None of that is in this core book, but it has the core mechanics of the game. So this is the starting point. You do not need that now, though. If you want to play orcs or humans and get dice and all the templates, cards, etc. with this rulebook, then I could recommend the core box. If you're not going to play either of those teams, I would not recommend buying the core box because it's not necessary. You're getting some extra stuff here, but it's quite expensive for that. So what Games Workshop has done now is integrated everything into this coach's handbook. So if you bought this core box previously and you wanted the league rules, then you would also buy this inaugural almanac, which combines two previous supplements called Death Zone 1 and 2. And that has all of the league rules and stadium rules, etc., as well as a bunch of other stuff. So if you already have the core box and you want to get a set of league rules and other things, you could also get this inaugural almanac. But as you can see, it's quite expensive. You do get more that's what's in the coach's handbook, but you have to decide whether or not that's worth paying for. So, but now, as of 2019, a few months ago, Games Workshop has re-released all of the Blood Bowl rules, all the league rules, etc., the mechanics rules and the league rules, condensed it down into this coach's handbook, which fits in the palm of your hand. It's quite a compact little book. You can easily carry it to your games with your teams. It has everything you need, as well as a really good cheat sheet, which is 4 sides. Basically, it folds out. A bunch of tokens, all of the rulers that you need, and then these team rosters. We won't need these because we'll be using other rosters. We'll go over that in another video. But for $50, it's your best value. I highly recommend, if you're playing the NeBBL, that everybody have a copy of this coach's handbook, because that will be your definitive source. So all the Games Workshop content is going to be more or less the definitive source, unless we've overridden that, which will be specified in the league rules, which we'll get to in another video. So that's where I say everyone should start. However, $50 is still not, nothing. So I can understand why, if you're getting into the game, you don't want to drop $50 on the rule book and etc. right away. So there are some other free options here. So let's look at here. This is a community version, basically, of I think it has the core rule book, the inaugural almanac, league rules, as well as some rules from an app that was put out called My Dugout, which I think is gone now because it didn't do very well, but some of the rules are still there. And it was compiled by the community. Basically, they took the competition rules pack, which I'll get to in a sec, and kind of updated it for Blood Bowl 2016. I have not read all of these. I can't guarantee they're exactly the same as the rules as written in the inaugural almanac, the coach's handbook, or the core book manual. So this might help. But if there's a discrepancy here between this and the Games Workshop content, the Games Workshop content is the definitive source. So be aware of that. That is here. You can look for just Blood Bowl 2016 rules on the internet, or if you go to our NeBBL group here and go to files, I think it is this one here that I've already uploaded to the group, so you can grab it there. So that's, a good way to get started learning the game, and then you can take this and, decide where you go from there. Maybe this is all you ever need. The mechanics of the game have basically been the same since 2010. What has changed is some of the league rules, team rosters, inducements, that kind of thing. So basically every few months, Games Workshop comes out with a new Spike magazine for whatever team that they're releasing. And then when that has a bunch more information about that team specifically. So their idea now is that when you get started with Blood Bowl, you generally buy this coach's handbook, you buy your team, you get some dice, maybe you get a pitch, and then that's all you need. And then you get the Spike magazine for your team. So when you go to your game, you take this handbook, you take the Spike magazine for your team, and you take your team and your dice, and you should be good to go. So yeah, that still leaves dice and pitch to get, but I'll leave that up to you. There are, of course, also a lot of third-party materials out there for Blood Bowl, for teams, pitches, dice, etc. Those are all fine. You do not need to buy the official Games Workshop stuff, of course. Okay, so going back to earlier, Blood Bowl was for a long time maintained by the community, and they have these competition rules packs, which you'll find on the NAF, or could find on the NAF. This is the international organization that organizes Blood Bowl tournaments all over the world and leagues. So there is a league manager basically here. And yeah, this is a great resource, and this is where most of the game has been kept alive for a very long time. So there is a bunch of league rules and tournament rules here. Now Games Workshop and the NAF have worked together on the coach's handbook and kind of compiled the new rosters for star players and teams. You can download that team roster here. We'll get into teams later, but just so you know, it's there. And you'll see that these tournament rules, these are specifically for tournaments, like how you run a tournament. Not all explicitly relevant for how we're going to run our league, but some interesting stuff there. More or less, if you still want another free version of the rules, you can look at this Blood Bowl competition rules. This has the mechanics of the game. So these sections here are the mechanics, and those ones are more or less exactly the same as what we're playing. So if you want to read here, you can even see that some of the graphics are in this other one I showed you because they've just updated this document for Blood Bowl 2016. So, but this document here is a bit older when it comes to leagues and rosters. If you played the Blood Bowl 2 PC or PS4 game, this is where those rules come from, the CRP. So if you're playing those digital games, this is the rule set that you'll be using, which is slightly different than the rules we're using in our league. But like I said, it's a good one to be aware of. The mechanics are the same, and you can learn some, most of the stuff, like most of the skills are also the same. There's just a few that are different, like piling on and things like that. But yeah, so that's basically the rules overview. Like if I just give you one piece of advice, I think that this is probably what you want to pick up when you first start playing Blood Bowl if you don't have other sets of rules already. Otherwise, this PDF, the 2016 PDF, is probably also pretty good. Not as convenient to take to a game for sure, and I can't guarantee it's all right. But that is more or less where we're at for rules. Blood Bowl 2016 and the Coach's Handbook is my recommendation.